I got fined $3,000 for fishing on my own land. Yeah, you heard that right. 3 grand, just for sitting by my own lake with a rod in my hand. And when I refused to pay, things didn't just get awkward, they got downright bizarre. You ever have a neighbor call 911 on you for fishing? That's how my Saturday morning started. Me with a cup of coffee and a tackle box, thinking I'd finally get some peace after a week of spreadsheets and Zoom calls. Instead, I'm sitting there, feeling the sunrise on my face, when Clover Blackwell comes marching across my lawn like she's the sheriff of suburbia, clipboard ready, heels stabbing divots in my grass, eyes locked on me like I'm a bank robber, not a guy trying to catch base. "Mr. Miller," she snapped, waving a piece of paper in my face like it was a warrant. "Final violation notice. You've ignored our warnings, you've refused to comply with community standards. This is your last chance." Her grin was the kind you see on cats right before they pounce on a mouse that's too slow to run. And the fine? $3,000, spelled out in red at the bottom, bold enough to punch you in the gut. You know that feeling when your heart skips a beat, then tries to climb up into your throat? That's where I was, gripping my fishing rod so tight I thought it might snap. Now, Clover, she's a real piece of work. HOA president, self-appointed guardian of every mailbox, blade of grass, and, apparently, drop of water in the neighborhood. She started listing off my crimes like she was reading from the 10 Commandments. Unauthorized water recreation, fishing without a permit, grass too high, mailbox the wrong color, unapproved landscape rocks. It was surreal, man. 6 months of little fines, passive-aggressive notes, and friendly reminders had led to this showdown on my dock, neighbors peeking through blinds or pretending to water flowers just so they could catch the action. I asked her, "Clover, you really think the HOA owns my backyard?" "The lake, too." Her eyebrow shot up so high it almost hit her hairline. She was ready for that. Binder open, bylaws flagged, quoting chapter and verse. But when I pressed her, asked if she had the deed, if she could prove jurisdiction, there was this tiny flicker in her eyes, like maybe, just maybe, she'd overstepped. Then she said the magic words, "If you don't comply, I'll be forced to call the authorities." So I told her, "Go ahead. Make the call." I don't think she expected that. Most folks just write a check to make the headache go away. But not me. I'd had enough. Her fingers flew over her phone, dialing 911 with the urgency of someone reporting a bank robbery, not a guy in rubber boots with a fishing hat. "This is an emergency," she said, her voice rising. "He's defying community standards and being aggressive." I almost laughed. If that's aggression, what do you call an actual crime? It didn't take long for the neighborhood to catch on. Kids stopped their bikes. Phones came out. Mrs. Peterson abandoned her flower bed and all pretense, standing right on her property line. The crowd was gathering for the latest episode of Suburban Standoff. By the time the patrol car rolled up, Clover looked like she'd won the lottery, straightening her shirt, smoothing her hair, ready to watch me get hauled off in cuffs. Officer Thompson, small-town guy, mid-50s, slow walk, calm voice, got out and took it all in. The frantic HOA queen, the guy with the fishing rod, the crowd of bored neighbors. "Let me understand the situation," he said, taking Clover's stack of violation notices with the patience of a kindergarten teacher. She launched into her speech, flipping through binders, quoting infractions, pointing to my rod like it was a shotgun. When he turned to me, I stood up, offered my hand, explained calmly that I was fishing on my own property, had the deed in the house, and had been harassed for months with citations I didn't think held up legally. I saw his eyes flick from me to Clover and back, doing the math in his head. Then came the question that changed everything. "Can you show me proof of your property boundaries, sir?" That caught Clover off guard. She started digging for documents, maps, bylaws, anything. But the more she flipped, the shakier she got. The crowd edged closer, phones recording, some folks smirking, some shaking their heads. That's when my wife, Lucy, appeared on the porch with a tray of iced tea. Cool as you please, like she'd been expecting this all along. "Hot day for legal drama," she said, smiling, and I swear Officer Thompson almost grinned. Lucy knows her stuff. She's got a legal background, and when she started asking Clover for the original covenant documents, the ones that would prove the HOA's authority over the lake, Clover's composure cracked. "Where's the original covenant, Clover?" I asked. "You got the paperwork that says you can fine me for fishing here?" She stammered about established precedent and community benefit, but it was smoke and mirrors, nothing real. Lucy chimed in. Honey, remember what we talked about, jurisdiction enforcement? That's got to be in writing. Officer Thompson started taking serious notes, asking pointed questions about how the HOA verified boundaries. Clover's answers looped in circles, her voice losing steam with every word. And then came the twist, maybe the best part. I left the dock, went into the house, and came back with a manila folder. Inside was the deed. 5 years ago, I bought the lake and the surrounding property, 2 years before the HOA was even formed. Officer Thompson ran his finger over the county seal, checked the date, nodded, then handed it to Clover. Ma'am, this predates your HOA's jurisdiction. Her face went white. The crowd gasped. Mrs. Peterson actually shouted, You mean we've been paying fees for his lake? Phones started buzzing, people realizing they'd forked over thousands for maintenance on property they never owned. Clover tried to recover, mumbling about implied permission, but it was over. Officer Thompson, stone-faced now, said, Ma'am, your organization has been collecting fees and operating on private land without authority. That's a serious problem. Lucy pulled out survey maps, boundary markers, every scrap of proof you could want. The final nail? Turns out the HOA's office building, the one where Clover ran her little empire, sat entirely on my land. They'd been squatting, no lease, no permission. You should have seen her face. That's when the neighbors turned. People started asking for refunds, shouting about class actions, demanding accountability. Thompson told Clover she had 24 hours to vacate my property, her filing cabinets, the whole HOA circus. She sputtered about community rights, but he just pointed to the law. Property is property. I kept fishing, line in the water, letting the whole scene play out. The crowd watched as Clover's world crumbled, her boxes hauled out under police supervision. The woman who'd handed out fines for mailbox paint and lawn height now being evicted for trespassing herself. The irony? Perfect. Lucy and I had documented everything. Photos, videos, timestamps, witness statements. Officer Thompson reviewed our file, nodded, and started a formal investigation into fraudulent fee collection and harassment. Within a week, the HOA held an emergency meeting. Clover resigned on the spot. The board voted to refund every cent they'd illegally collected, and a team of attorneys started auditing every enforcement action she'd ever taken. The story spread. People from other neighborhoods called, asking how we'd stood up to the HOA, asking for tips on fighting back. Our case set a precedent. County officials reviewed HOA filings, new laws got proposed, and property rights got a little stronger for everyone. You want to know the best part? I got my Saturday mornings back. Now, I sit by my lake, fish in peace, Lucy by my side, the sun rising over water that's actually mine. The new HOA leadership? Transparent, respectful, actually interested in serving the community instead of running it like a fiefdom. Neighborhood events happen by the lake, properly permitted, everyone insured, all above board. Kids play, families picnic, and nobody's peeking through the bushes waiting to bust somebody for a rogue petunia. Clover? She moved away, started fresh somewhere else, maybe learned something, maybe not. Doesn't really matter. Her legacy is a community that finally knows its rights, stands up for itself, and doesn't get bullied by someone with a binder and a bad attitude. And me? I learned that patience, a little legal know-how, and refusing to back down quietly can change everything. Not just for you, but for everyone who comes after. So here's my question. If you were in my shoes, would you have fought back, or just paid the fine to keep the peace? Drop your thoughts below. I want to hear what you do. And hey, if you made it this far, give this a like, share your own HOA stories, and let's keep each other sharp. Because sometimes, knowing the law isn't just power, it's the only way to win.